I'm going to let you in on a secret. You can build the exact body you want. You're not stuck in the body that you have right now. Don't let other people's beliefs dictate your life. Back to the Get Buff with Reeds podcast, where we dive into all things strength, body confidence, and building your ideal body. And building a body that makes you feel absolutely unstoppable. I'm Reets, and today we're talking about something that holds a lot of people back. It's the belief that genetics will dictate what your body looks like. If you have ever felt like no matter what you do, your body's not built for progress, I want you to listen up because I'm going to let you in on a secret. You can build the exact body you want. You just need the right tools and the right approach, and you can build your body out of Play-Doh. Do people still play with Play-Doh, or am I really giving away my age right now? Seriously, you're not stuck in the body that you have right now. Don't let other people's beliefs and limitations that they have put on you dictate your life. You don't have to accept things like, oh, I'm big boned, or I'm too skinny to put on muscle, or I don't have the right metabolism or body type for that. All you have to do is the hard thing, the work. I'll be honest, there are so many limitations that we put on ourselves, as well as other people projecting them onto us. Like, you're big boned, you're too skinny, or the cultural background you come from doesn't build muscle well, or everyone in your family is overweight, so you must be also. How many times have you heard these limitations? Or how many times have you heard yourself or caught yourself saying them? So listen up. I used to believe that I was big boned. That was an identity I genuinely held on to up until I dropped from a size 10, 12 all the way down to a size UK 4. I was just a teenager at this time, and I'd been on a course of steroids for my health condition Crohn's disease, and I had gained a lot of weight. And I think at the time I must have been about 14, 15 years old. But I had believed up until this point, because I'd gained weight, that I was big boned. So now that I had dropped this weight, was I supposed to believe that genetically I was just slim and skinny, or that I had a slight build? Or was I supposed to believe that I was genetically big boned? I didn't do it in a healthy way. Essentially, I starved myself and did hours and hours of cardio. I was completely depleted and there was nothing left in the tank. And the common theme here is that I was neither. Those two stages of my life were choices. They were choices that, in those two stages of my life, those were choices. Those were choices that were built off habits that I did daily. So, no, genetically, that didn't matter. It was all based on the habits that I was doing on a daily basis. Choices. You are not naturally heavy. You are not naturally skinny. Your body is a reflection of the habits you do on a day-to-day basis. Your environment will play a much bigger role in your physique and the way you look than your genetics. And this is why. So when someone says to me, oh, my family is just naturally on the heavier side, everyone's overweight or they have an obesity issue, and so do I. The first question I ask them is, what daily habits do your family members all have in common? Because it's not the genetics that's affecting everybody in the family. No, it's the shared habits that everyone is copying or accumulating. If your whole family eats the same way, moves the same way, goes about daily life in the same way, of course they're going to have the same result. And yes, if that's in the way of their physical look or, the way their body is, it's all going to be the same if everybody's doing the same things. I want to give you an example. So, when I was younger, this is round about the time where I'd put on a lot of weight when I was on steroids. My family would eat a lot of takeaways, and if you went into the cupboard at any given time, it was stashed with crisps, chocolates, just all the processed nasties. So, if everyone's having a takeaway or everyone is constantly eating these processed foods, that's a shared habit that we would all have in common, and we would all be gaining weight at that time, which we did. And it wasn't until someone was able to break that and be like, no, we're going to start eating well. I'm going to put fruit and veg in the cupboard and in the fridge. We're not going to go out and buy chocolates and crisps every day. We don't need to consume that much. Okay, maybe we'll have it in the house in moderation, but that doesn't need to be a part of our daily diet. All it takes is one person to break the chain, and everyone's habits will slowly follow suit. Now, let's talk about the complete opposite, the almond mum. So, the almond mum is somebody who usually has a fairly damaged relationship with food. So, they might say things like, you don't need to eat those carbs, or I was way smaller than you are at your age. Or if you're hungry, just have a handful of almonds, or just eat a piece of fruit. They will extremely try to restrict their children's diet and eating habits because of their own relationship with food. An almond mum will see food and fuel as the enemy, but this stems from their own relationship with food that they then project onto their child. So, like I said, when people say everyone in my family is X or Y, so everyone in my family is either overweight or everyone in my family is really, really slim, or everyone in my family is very, very healthy. It all depends on the habits that everyone around you is doing on a daily basis. If your whole family is eating the same way, training the same way, having the same activity level, and having the exact same habits, you're all going to have a really similar body composition. Now, this is the hard truth. We will look for anything to blame on why we look a certain way or why we can't shift those 10 pounds we've been trying to shift for the last 10 years, or why our physique isn't as good as we know it could be because we don't push ourselves. We will look for everything to blame. And I genuinely experience this all the time when I'm having conversations with women that want to start their health and fitness journey. They may have every intention to start and to work towards what they want, but as soon as the excuses start rolling through, it's almost like they talk themselves out of it. And I can see it happening in a conversation. They might say, hey, I really want to lose 10 kilos, or I've just had a baby and I'm not in love with my postpartum body anymore. And I would love to get back to what it looked like pre baby, or, at least improve my physique. And then suddenly they'll start going through excuses. Oh, I don't have much time, or I'm not very motivated. We will look for every excuse so we don't have to do the hard work. And genetics is one of those excuses that we have all been playing on since the start of time, because training properly and progressing is hard. Eating well and staying consistent is also hard. And putting in that effort over a long period of time for something that's not going to change overnight is difficult. So instead of doing the hard work, we look for any excuse. But here's the thing. If you believe that your body is a certain way because that's your genetic predisposition, nothing's ever going to change for you. And you're really just standing in your own way. Okay, let's be real. Genetics do play a role, but they don't dictate your outcome. Now, this is how they play a role. For the everyday person, I am talking about 99.9% of people, your genetics don't really matter because they're not going to affect your physique. If you're just trying to get stronger, leaner, healthier, and fitter, it's not going to be something you need to think about because genetics won't be your limiting factor. Now, if we talk about elite bodybuilding, that's a completely different conversation. The reason it matters then is because when they are at that level, everyone is training the same. Everyone is the same body fat. Everyone's super lean. Everyone has dialed in absolutely everything they can. Everything is on point. And they are almost all on par with each other. So at that level, everyone is looking for the slightest competitive advantage. So yes, genetics here do play a role because that tiny edge could be all the difference for whether they win that competition or whether they place 10th. These are things like muscle insertions. They might have a fuller muscle belly, which might give them a more aesthetic look, or things like symmetry and proportions. Some people might just have better symmetry between muscle groups, or just how their muscles line up. A really good example of this is when you look at different people's abs. Some people have very symmetrical abs, where a lot of people have asymmetrical abs. These are such teeny tiny differences that it wouldn't matter to most people unless you're being judged on your physique at an elite level. Because at this level, body fat isn't even a topic anymore. Everyone is coming in at the same condition. So they're really trying to nitpick and find the teeniest, tiniest things that are going to give someone an advantage over the other. But for 99.9% of people, that's never going to matter. If you just want to get in shape, get stronger, and feel better in your own skin, stop worrying about genetics and shift your focus onto your daily habits. Here's the most important mind shift you need. If you want to change your body, there is nothing stopping you. You can shape and chisel your body like it's made out of Play-Doh. I have done this more times than I can count. I went from being overweight to being underweight to starting to train, being super, super lean, deciding to shift my focus to build some muscle and increase my calorie intake. I've held more fat than I wanted to when I was building muscle. Last year, I was the highest body fat I think I've been in a really long time. I'm going to let you in on a secret. You can shape your body like it's made out of Play-Doh. You can absolutely build your body. But seriously, your body isn't fixed. You are not stuck. The only thing that's stuck is the way you think about it. The reality is your body will consistently adapt to the stimuli you give it. Okay, so if you change your nutrition, your body will adapt to whatever you're putting into it. If you start training, if you start running for a marathon, your body will slowly adapt. The same way our bodies change when we're having a baby. The human body is absolutely incredible, and it will adapt to whatever circumstances you put upon it. So if you lift weights and eat adequate protein, your body will build muscle. If you stay in a calorie deficit, your body will burn through the fat and the muscle. If you sleep better and start managing your stress, your body's recovery will improve, and so will your performance. Every single action you take is shaping your body bit by bit. The question here is, are the actions that you're completing moving you closer to your goal or further away? I want to break this down further because people are always coming up with excuses. I've always been big. My body is just built this way. The reality is no. Your body is a result of your daily actions and habits. I've always been too skinny. I just can't gain weight. Muscle is built through training and progressive overload and proper nutrition. It doesn't just appear. My metabolism is really slow. No, your metabolism isn't really slow. Metabolism is impacted by muscle mass, activity levels, and nutrition. You can increase it. It's genetics. My family all look like this. Families don't just pass down body types, they pass down eating habits, activity levels, and lifestyle choices. The science behind shaping your body. Your body is not static, it's dynamic. Like I said, it will respond to whatever stimuli you provide it with. So, whether that's training, food, stress levels, sleep, it's going to respond to what you're giving it. Right, I love this Play-Doh analogy. So let's look at building muscle like shaping something out of Play-Doh. Think of every training session that you complete as adding muscle or definition. And I know lots of women will think, oh, but I don't want to add muscle. But in the same sentence, they'll say, I want to appear toned. To appear toned, you need to build muscle. Then every nutritious meal full of protein that you're providing it with is the material your muscle needs. It's the fuel your muscle needs to grow. Getting a good night's sleep and proper recovery as allowing your muscles to recover and rebuild and repair. So, if you want to change how your body appears, you need to ensure that you're using the right clay or Play Doh to sculpt your body out of, the right tools. And then, if we look at losing fat, that's like carving off excess material. Losing fat isn't about starving yourself, it's about removing the layers that you want to remove. You don't want to remove the muscle because the muscle is going to be the shape that you want underneath. So if you reduce your food intake too much, you're going to burn through the fat and the muscle. So fat loss happens when we stay in a deficit. But when we're in this deficit, we need to make sure that we're still eating adequate protein to retain that muscle mass. Strength training will also help us preserve muscle. So your body starts burning through fat tissue rather than the muscle tissue. And whilst protein is helping you maintain that muscle, it's also helping you stay full. So you don't just shrink and lose any shape and definition. The goal isn't just to get smaller, it's to reveal all that hard work and muscle you've built underneath. And that's going to give you that toned appearance. Now, another really important factor is your hormones. Especially as a woman, our hormones play a vital role in our body's function. So, for example, if your cortisol is really high because you're stressed, that's the stress hormone, what's going to happen is you might find it harder to burn through fat. Because what happens is your body goes into fat storage mode and it also sometimes starts breaking down muscle. Things like sleep really impact muscle growth because when we're sleeping, that's when our body has the best time to start repairing. Our growth hormone is released during sleep. So, this is a vital time that your body needs to repair. So, you need to ensure you're getting quality sleep. So instead of blaming genetics, why don't we look at how we can work with our body and our body type? I would say there's three key areas you want to focus on. Number one is training smart for your frame. There are different body types, and you will know if you're someone that responds very well to strength training, where you put on muscle very quickly, or perhaps you're someone that burns fat very quickly. There's three body types: ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. Do they matter loads? No, but can we optimize what body type we are to get the best results? Yes. An ectomorph is normally naturally lean and gains muscle at a slower rate. So, if you're an ectomorph, what you want to do is really focus on progressive overload and ensure you're eating in a calorie surplus if you're looking to build. And ensure that your protein intake is nice and high. Another thing you can do is limit your cardio and really shift your focus onto strength training. Then we have a mesomorph, which is normally someone who's got quite an athletic build. They gain muscle quickly, lose fat quickly. They're naturally athletic and they can normally put on muscle and fat very quickly. So, if you're this body type, what you want to do to optimize your result is you need a mix of strength training and conditioning. Your diet needs to be super balanced and focused with enough protein and enough fiber. And you would like to incorporate some cardio to really get the best results with your strength training. Then we have endomorphs. They tend to generally be curvier and gain fat very easily. You really want to focus on strength training here. Increasing your muscle mass is going to increase your metabolism. Dialing in your nutrition is going to be your number one priority. You want to ensure you're eating the right foods to get you the right results. And a tip that you can use as well as doing cardio is just increase your overall daily activity. We might not be able to change our natural body type, but we can work with it rather than working against it. And instead of wishing for a frame that we might not be blessed with, we can start controlling the controllables so we can still achieve the same goal that we have in mind. Okay, this is really interesting. I feel like as females, we approach fitness often with a mentality where we're training to fix something. Maybe we're trying to fix our hip dips, maybe we just want thinner arms, get rid of those bingo wings, or a flatter stomach. There's always a problem when we're approaching fitness. Now, what I want you to do is shift your mindset completely. When you approach fitness, don't think of it as I'm going to train and eat well to solve this problem. Instead of looking at your body like something that needs to be corrected, think of it as something you want to enhance. Rather than fixing something that's broken, you're just going with something that's already good and making it better. What does this look like in practice? I want to fill in my hip dips. Shift that to I want to grow some really strong glutes. Or I want a smaller waist. Shift that to I want to increase my core strength. If it's your upper body and your arms that are really bothering you and you just want to shape them up, why don't you think of, okay, how can I improve my upper body through strength training? How can I completely contour my body to how I'd like it to be? Rather than thinking what you already have is a problem, because it's not. The moment you start training to build something rather than fix something, everything will change. Start training for strength. Right now, today, I want you to start training for strength instead of aesthetics. Aesthetics will come when you start training for strength. So instead of thinking, oh, I really want to get down to a size 8, for example, think about, I want to achieve my first pull up. This is something I integrate with all of my clients. Yes, they are absolutely allowed to have aesthetic goals, but I really try to shift their goals to having performance-based goals in the gym. And I'll tell you why. When you're only training for aesthetics, 3 things will happen. You'll become overly obsessed with the scale. You will feel discouraged when you don't see results fast enough. And with this journey, I can promise you, you're not going to see results as fast as you would like. It is going to be a slower journey. Will the results come? For sure. But will it take longer than what you have in mind? Most definitely. 3, you will think you need to eat less and do more cardio and fall into that really toxic trap where you won't get the results that you desire either. But now, when you start training for strength, everything else will fall in place. Your body will start to recomposition. More muscle equals a faster metabolism. More muscle equals a better body and overall shape. More muscle sets you up for long-term fat loss without constantly feeling like you need to crash diet. Have you ever heard the term stay ready so you don't have to get ready? That's exactly what strength training will do for you long term. You'll never have to crash diet or go through some intense program for a holiday or a wedding or whatever event you have in mind. If you just stay consistent for the long run, you'll stay ready. So many people end up rushing the process because they need progress now or yesterday. Your body isn't a 6-week challenge. It's a long-term process. It's a long-term investment. It's better to focus on consistency rather than intensity. Instead of trying to do 5 to 6 workouts a week or doing something crazy like the 75 hard challenge, focus on something you can do consistently for the rest of your life. Maybe that's 2 to 3 strength training sessions a week. Maybe that's going for a bike ride. Maybe that's going for a 5K once a week. Focus on something that you can do every single week for the rest of your life, because that's going to be much better than you attempting something and burning out in a month or two. Never rush fat loss. I cannot iterate this more. If you lose fat too fast, you will lose muscle with it. That's just a hard fact. The best way to lose fat is slow and steady, so you're losing as little muscle as possible. Will you lose some muscle when you're losing fat? Unfortunately, yes, but you want to minimize that. I want you to start thinking in years and not weeks. The goal is long-term strength, great health, and amazing confidence. Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to throw that victim mindset out the window. Instead, we're going to replace it with an ownership mindset. So instead of it's just my genetics, we're going to replace that with, okay, I'm born with my genetics, but my outcome and my results don't depend on what I've been given. Instead of I have a slow metabolism, okay, through strength training and eating right and building muscle, I can completely revamp my metabolism. That doesn't have to be a problem for me. Instead of I've always struggled with my weight, I struggled with my weight in the past, but that doesn't have to dictate my future. I'm going to try a better approach. This is my favorite one. I just don't have time. I make time for what's important to me. Don't be a victim to your own mind. Your success will directly be linked to being able to take ownership and taking control of your mindset. Okay, there's things we can't control. That's absolutely fine. We can't control our genetics. We can't control our bone structure. We can't control our past mistakes or our past approach. But what can we control? We can control what we do today. We can control how we train, how we fuel our body. We can control how much effort we put in and how much we prioritize our health and fitness. We can control how consistent we are. We can control how consistent we are and how we show up for ourselves. The people that succeed in health and fitness aren't the ones that are born with everything that's perfect. They're the ones that put in the work and refuse to give up. They're the ones that really focus on what they can do instead of what they can't. Instead of setting outcome goals, I want you to set process-based goals. This is what that looks like. Instead of I want to lose 10 to 20 pounds, think I'm going to get in 3 to 4 strength training sessions every single week. Instead of I want abs right now or I want abs in this amount of time, I'm going to hit my protein target every single day without fail. No excuses. Instead of I want to look toned, I'm going to hit a step goal each day. Your habits will drive your results regardless. So instead, focus on the process because that's the controllable. It will stack up and the progress and the results you want will come. I think the biggest limiting belief everybody has is that they need motivation to be able to get anything done. Motivation comes and goes as it pleases. You can't control it. And in those times, you need to focus on your discipline. Discipline will trump motivation every single time. And discipline doesn't need to be difficult. Just set yourself 3 non-negotiables every single day. Make fitness a non-negotiable for you. It's something you're prioritizing and you're doing without fail, no matter how you feel. Don't let your emotions get in the way. Create a schedule that you can stick to. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't overestimate what you can do. If you can only get in 2 or 3 sessions, that is perfectly fine. Don't let yourself burn out here. It is more important to show up on the days you don't want to be there than the days when you're motivated. Because the days you're motivated will be far and few between. So the workout you did do is always going to trump the workout you didn't do. And that comes to nutrition too. Motivation is an emotion, it's a feeling, but discipline's a choice. Okay, let's recap. Genetics are such a small part of the equation. They are not going to determine what your body shapes up to be. Your habits are. You're already shaping your body every single day, whether it's intentional or not, through your daily habits and your lifestyle choices. Instead of fighting with your body, choose to work with it. Optimize your results the best way you can. Success comes from taking ownership. Own your habits, shift your mindset, and stay consistent. You are not powerless. You are in control, so act it. If this episode hit home for you, share it with a friend or someone that needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll catch you in the next one.